All right, Tom was an interesting. It's interesting to see how people are kind of, I don't want to say coping. No, fuck it, coping with everything that's been going on with Donald Trump's terrible presidency. But I was very curious on this debate because Tom was saying some bullshit when it came to defending and voting for Trump. So I'm curious to see his response on all the stuff that he said he didn't want the Democrats to do. Donald Trump did. So let's hear it. All right, I'm skipping ahead because I already seen the first portion. That's why I decided, I'm going to react to it. The other portion, he admitted that the big beautiful bill ruining the national debt was a problem. All right, we'll start from here.
And then they'll bring it. He's done so many of these damn things that it's like the person's reminding him, here are all the key things that you had agreed to. And he knows if this guy's bringing it to me, this is obviously what I agreed to previously. Cool, sign it. Because as a CEO, I do that kind of stuff all the time, especially when I had 3,000 employees. Dude, you've got like, okay, there's a small handful of people that I trust. We had a meeting about this a week ago. I don't remember the specifics, but it's like, these were the things that we agreed on. And I would ask them, are these the things that I specifically said? Yes, it is. Cool.
But you would never have that conversation in front of your opposition that you're signing the contract with. You would never go to a meeting with another guy and you're like, what was this again? Like,
and you don't like that? Because I don't know if I like it just because it's good content or if I actually think it's good. Admittedly, this might be terrible for the country, but I love that I'm able to see how this all works. Now, keep in mind, I am wildly disillusioned by politicians as a class.
Okay.
I think they are universal liars. I think the odds of Trump being on the Epstein list borders on 100%.
Okay.
People are always confused because they think that I'm going to bat for Trump. I'm trying to describe what I see.
Okay.
So I see somebody who I just assume he's a liar, but when I look at the way that he deals on an,
I would be very curious on discussing. I don't know why I'm curious about it. I know why people are disillusioned with politicians. I know why people have lost faith in the government. I know all of these things. I would be more invested in the idea of diving into it a little bit more deeply to see if that logic can track to a specific foundational principle, right? Because there's a lot of things that people believe, and once you boil everything down, you can get to a very simple kind of framework on how they came to these conclusions. Not a lot of people are intelligent enough to even understand that. A lot of it is a feeling, but I believe there's always a logical foundation on how everything is kind of formatted. I think Tom is smart enough for I could figure that out. That's basically all I'm saying.
International stage, I think he's somebody that he's not for play, say what you will, but like once he thinks, hey, this is the way that I think it should be done, he's going to see that through. You were certainly not going to be able to push Trump around. He's never going to be able to play the, Netanyahu told me and I just felt like that's not him.
But that's literally him, though. This is the biggest, as a pro-Israel guy, he's the biggest Israeli dick suck. He's the only guy, him and Netanyahu, that are pushing me towards like pro-Palestinian rhetoric on Twitter. He does anything Netanyahu tells him to do.
But do you think he has reasons? Like I've heard you say, someone can act rationally towards an immoral end.
Sure.
And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Now people don't like that, but nonetheless, I would say that's true.
I think his reason is just that old people in this country like Israel because they grew up. Israel had a cool story growing up. If you're
old people like Israel, also a lot of people that is surrounding him are also pro-Israel, which also can derive from a religious background and a religious foundation. Ted Cruz even said in the interview, in the conversation with Tucker Carlson, that one of the things he's been taught since he was young, which may play into what Destiny's talking about, who fucking knows, is that we always got to help Israel. We always got to help the Jewish people because that's how he was taught through his religious faith. So it's embroiled into a type of culture, and obviously the ramifications of the Holocaust, one of the worst modern human disasters in human history. So there's a lot of reasons, and Donald Trump falls into the old guard, and he's surrounded by all those types of people. So it makes sense on why he would shill. Plus, all the money is with a lot of these Jewish people too. Let's keep it a stack. That doesn't mean I believe that Jewish people are running the world. It just means that a lot of successful people end up being Jewish, you know?
You're an older person and he likes Israel and the voter base likes Israel and that's it. So whatever Netanyahu says, he's like, okay.
Yeah. So he's pursuing his interests. He's not doing it because he's weak or that Netanyahu's pushing him around. He's running some algorithm in his brain that says this is a cool guy that I really want to help, and he really wants to do it, and so he really does it.
Sure.
I'm just saying Trump isn't the guy that like you're going to be able to push around. So part of my beef.
Yeah, I disagree. I think you can 100% push around Trump, or at the very least manipulate him to get what you want. You know, stroking his ego, saying, "Hey, Trump, I'm about to get you a Nobel Peace Prize," sounds exactly like doing that. Who the fuck thinks that Donald Trump should get a Nobel Peace Prize? You stroke his ego, or you make it seem like he's more important than he is. That's what Zelensky's been trying to do. That's what Putin does all the time, and then stalls and then bombs Ukraine. Come on, bro. Like, manipulating Trump for these leaders. I mean, come on.
Like, well, but if Netanyahu wanted to push further, he could, and Trump wouldn't be able to stop him because Trump can be played by any world leader. Do you agree that every world leader looks at Trump like a buffoon waiting to be played egotistically, right?
I think everybody has a strategy for dealing with Trump for sure.
And the strategy is just flattery.
Get their way? Probably not.
Like is it Rutte guy, the guy who used to be I don't know if it's a prime minister in the Netherlands who's like does the NATO stuff now. Like when you look at him talk to Trump, it looks like you're talking to you ever watch Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
Joffrey, right? He's like, "Oh, President Trump, you're such a great guy and you were so smart when you did this." And it's like endless flattery because that's what you Okay, but like it's
I get
effective.
It's a strap.
It works.
Like listen.
You saw Zelensky tweet out to
then stop glazing him like he's an impressive leader because he get manipulated. Like, you wouldn't call Joffrey an impressive leader. He was trash. And I now know the Joffrey reference because I have watched all the way up to season 5 of Game of Thrones. So I understand how terrible Joffrey is and how multiple people just made him think that he was more important than he actually was.
Days ago, like, we're so grateful that the United States
tells you that of course this is how it's going to be.
But it's sad because it's showing you that this works on our president.
Dude, it works on everybody.
Absolutely not.
What?
Do you think there's any amount of flattery that Putin could have done to get Hillary?
It's not always going to be flattery. It's always going to be a thing.
Oh, sure. But I want the thing to be, there's good things and there's bad things. Like if my interest is, if I'm negotiating on behalf of my wife for a contract, like the way that I get this guy is I'm going to do a lot of good things for his wife's business or whatever. Okay, that's fine. That's good. But if my thing is like, I like to see children suffer and you're like, I'm going to give them a lot of videos of children dying. Yeah, there's a way to play the game, but I don't want you to have to play the game that's not good.
The bad news. I really believe that's how the game is played.
Sure, but it depends on who you're trying to.
Who's the leader that we should admire?
I think that history will look fondly on Biden's presidency as a shining star in the middle and sandwiched between two.
It's already looked pretty fondly of. There was a large group of politicians who did a study, who did an analysis of the best presidencies, and Joe Biden was in like the top 15-ish, I believe. I could look up the study right now, but I'm not going to. What I will say, though, is that for the most part, if you go into the serious weeds of the policies he was able to do and the fact that we recovered so well from COVID, he is going to be looked at as one of the more successful presidents in American history. That's just objectively true.
You unbelievably crazy.
Can you give me somebody else?
I think that the advancement of the ACA under Obama and the Iranian nuclear deal. Yeah.
Give me a lead.
I wish I was way too young to understand what Obama was doing, because 2008, how old am I? Like 27. So 2008 is what? 18 years ago? No. 17 years ago? So what would that make me? 10? Yeah, I wasn't paying attention to politics at 10.
You're like a person, male, female, like Obama?
Martin Luther King?
I mean, there are things I like and don't like about him.
Okay,
but
that seems fair.
It's hard to say. I don't know if I'm a big, like, here's a shining star person. Like,
okay, this is my whole point. Because even...
hey, Jesus Christ. Even if you're not religious, that's a pretty good figure. If we want to go in fiction, Let me get a good fictional leader. I was going to say Irwin, but Irwin just, honestly, he is a pretty effective leader. Yeah. Martin Luther King. The thing is, all right, I'm going to let him continue because I've seen a little bit of this. There's going to be a portion where I stopped watching, but
if I tried to give you, I mean, for me, Nelson Mandela is about as close as you're going to get. Maybe I haven't looked closely enough. Maybe there really is an underside. I know I think he was unfaithful on his wife. But anyway, I'm sure there's something bad. But holy hell, that man acted in a way that absolutely blows me away. I used to really like Lincoln was my jam. And then the more you learn about the Civil War, the more you realize he actually said the words, if I could hold the Union together without freeing a single slave, I would. It's like, oh God. So
I would say everything is taken within the context of history. But I think that context does provide a different nuance on understanding that it was more keeping America together versus freeing Black people. But yeah, I mean, that doesn't have to necessarily take you out of he's a good leader, because within context he was. But if you think he's the savior of Black people, then hell fucking no, that just wouldn't work, right? It just wouldn't work.
I think that most people aren't going to be a shining star. So all I'm saying is Trump is a fucking mess. A mess. And
just because there's not a shining star, though, I can still speak with some granularity. Yeah,
so you're saying,
my parents are not perfect, but they're not Hitler, right? And they're like, we can speak with granularity, right?
Sure.
Nobody's perfect.
Overwhelmingly bad across almost every domain we look. We've talked about a lot of them today. Yeah, it's very hard for me to find any pro. Like, what if you had to name?
He's a populist leader.
Yeah, but if you had what is the best thing?
He's a. Sorry about that. Drop my Xbox controller. He's a fake populist. He is not a populist. He's a fake populist. Let's be very clear about that.
He's done over the past, like his presidential term right now.
He is on an international basis drawing a line and making sure that everybody understands that if he makes a threat, he's going to back it up.
But he hasn't. That's not true, though.
That is true.
We didn't invade Greenland. We didn't invade Panland. The Panama Canal. We didn't go to war and start taking territory from Canada.
He didn't say he was going to invade Greenland. He said some unhinged shit. Trust me.
Okay.
No, I can't trust you because my issue here is your willingness to constantly defend and qualify everything he's done and note him as this effective international leader. When in many of the things that he said he was going to do, he did not do. And he's actually ruined a lot of international relationships with a lot of our allies. Matter of fact, one key example right now, so you guys can visualize it, because of the cutting for something like Voices of America, we lost a lot of our international influence to different countries. And China is swooping in and providing that service as a media outlet and is now getting looked at more favorably. Matter of fact, apparently there's a Pew Research where 25-ish or 25 or more countries, I don't remember the exact terminology there, think that China is a bigger and more dominant economic power than America right now. So we are losing favorability in a lot of areas across the world because of Donald Trump's cutting international funds, things like, U.S. aid, of course, that's going to be killing a lot of people, HIV, that's going to be killing a lot of people, our media attention and helping people learn English, we're going to take that away so people are not going to adopt the American culture. We're also taking, obviously, the tariffs that we're just throwing at people for honestly no reason is pissing people off. Our diplomatic relations and our threats to leave so many of the international organizations. Tom, you were fucking lying about Donald Trump being this person that is a great international leader that doesn't get pushed around. He's pushing people away. That's what's going on.
Okay.
The 51st state stuff, I hated, wished he had stopped. The Greenland thing, I was like, why is he bothering?
He's gone back and forth on tariffs a ton.
But are you saying, like, are we in taco territory here? Like, he literally just dismantled the Iranian nuclear sites. Whether you wish he would or not, he said he was going to do it. He did it. The tariff.
He only dismantled 1 out of 3 of them. And it wasn't him, it was Israel. And then he helped them afterwards after they already did it. And then apparently there's a lot of information that's come out that they're going to restart back up a couple of months later. Now, I'm not one of those people that think Iran should have nukes. I want to be very clear about that. You know, some people have been pro Iran nukes for some reason. I'm not one of those people, but to give him a lot of credit for that is weird, very much so.
He puts tariffs on.
He did that after Israel failed to do it, right? Netanyahu asked him to do it and said he had to, and then he did it, right? Because Israel wasn't able to. But even that's just an extension of the fact that we abandoned the nuclear deal that we had before under Obama because Trump just left.
Yeah, but you're asking me what things he's doing that I think are effective.
Okay.
And I think
the B2 mission was cool. I thought it was cool, and I'm not a fan of Iran having nuclear weapons.
Sure. That makes 2 of us.
Sure.
So on top of that, he's obviously not he's not suicidal. So he puts the tariffs on China, and then he is wise enough to take them back off. But
what kind of compliment is that? Oh my God. He's willing to take back the shitty thing that he did. That's like me saying that, oh, when I go up to someone, steal their purse, take their money, and then I come back and give back their purse and give back their money a day later, I'm a good person because of it? I'm a, what would you say, not suicidal? Like, who compliments people like that? Why is that a compliment? What is going on? What?
He is unafraid to do very aggressive, very unconventional things. Now, I don't know if they're going to work, and so it's entirely possible that this plays out terribly.
Hold on, I don't understand this. I don't understand this heuristic. Okay. I can think of a lot of people. We could go down to any prison and find a lot of guys who are unafraid to do, huge actions. And
but they're not going to. I mean, so you map him as somebody that world leaders don't take seriously behind the scenes, and I disagree. If you're right, and they're all just like guffawing themselves and they're beside themselves, laughing their asses off,
which they've been caught doing on camera when Trudeau.
What I am curious. I want to talk with Tom. What are you seeing? What is your eyes viewing? What information is being absorbed with these pupils and being conjured up in this brain of yours? What are you seeing? I don't understand what you could possibly see to make these strong claims about Donald Trump being an effective leader and diplomat around the world right now. What are we talking about?
And others I think back in his first term were
in his first term, I think that I won't even comment on first term.
Okay.
I'm talking this term now. He comes across to me as somebody who is making huge mistakes in the economy. So because I know that people think that I am defending him. I just don't think that he is all.
It sounds like you're defending him. It's not. I'm trying to paint you as a Trump supporter. I'm not trying to look at you and go like, white dude who has a lot of money, of course he's a Trump supporter. That's not what I'm doing. I am listening to the things that come out of this yapper right here, and it sounds like you are defending Trump. Or no, it sounds like you are praising Trump for superficial reasons as a means to qualify him over someone like Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. And that doesn't make sense. Because all your reasoning doesn't make sense.
Bad and no good.
Sure, I'm curious, because when I would say like nobody's taking me seriously around the world, what I would point to is the lack of any worked out trade deals. I would point to the things everybody's saying, obviously, about him. I would point to his lack of ability to enforce anything when it comes to conflict. So Hamas and Russia are 2 great examples. So I don't know, when we say there's respect around the world, from who respects him in what way? Like, what's like a measurable way? What could I look at if I was looking for a KPI on Trump respect? Like, what's the thing that I would look at where, oh, these guys respect Trump?
Yeah. So on the economic front, you're going to have to see what plays out in the long run. But right now, I'd say we're ahead on tariffs. So we've collected over $100 billion in tariff revenue.
I was like, so we just taxed our citizens $100 billion, I guess.
Well, that's one way to look at it, but you just generated revenue that you otherwise wouldn't have generated, and prices didn't go up in any meaningful way. So, and I would say that we're very early in the negotiations.
Why the fuck? See, again, what are you consuming? Have you heard of the number of businesses and people who are losing their business because they can't afford goods across the world? Or are you just not paying attention to that? How about the amount of farms that had to go bankrupt? The number already exceeds the amount of farms that went bankrupt in 2024. So this idea that these tariffs have been good overall, no, it's ruined a lot of people, a lot of businesses, a lot of businesses. So catch me on that shit. Catch me on that shit. Yeah, I don't. Again, I don't know
Literally
what
said he was going to have this done in 90 days. It was fucking stupid. That this is an 18-month endeavor. Period. Full stop. End of story. It probably would take even longer than that, but he can't. He can't afford it. If he doesn't make it to the midterms, he will lose on that alone. And so, to me, this has always been a game of chicken. He's playing a game of chicken. Cool. Like, let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens. He closed the border. Yay. To me, which we touched on it a little bit, I feel very strongly that America over the next 10 years is going to have to decide what its values are, or because of the economically fragile situation that we're in, we will fall apart. So like when I start talking about the next 10 years, I have an image in my mind of—
Now that's just a political difference. The tariff point was a terrible point. It wasn't a good one at all. The immigration point about closing the border depends on what your values are. If you truly believe that we shouldn't have immigrants in America, then you basically abandon the American dream, and that's your prerogative. I don't give a fuck about what you think, but if that's your vision, then that's you. I'm not there. I like the American dream. I like the idea of people coming into the country and making a future for themselves. Of course, I don't want people to just take advantage of the system. I do want people to provide for it, and a lot of people do. And if, as the number one country in the world that's supposed to be the protectors of the world, so to speak, people who are suffering, I would also want us to take care of them too. You know what I'm saying? So, but if you believe fuck all those people trying to come in the country, sure, that's your prerogative, I guess.
Of America becoming Argentina. And so I don't know if we share that sense of like how much this matters. And so the fact that somebody at some point has to—
I mean, it does matter, but we're talking about closing the border versus deportations. He didn't necessarily talk about deportations, so I'll leave that alone for now.
Like stop certain things. But once he signed the big beautiful bill, I was like, well, okay, I'm not sure that this could possibly play out well at this point. So we'll see. But the things that I look at and I go, these are the positive things: drawing lines, enforcing boundaries, putting up borders, like that had to be done. Now, this comes down to where you and I—
Well, he only closed the border because of how rampant his deportations are and how unhinged they were at the same time, and how more difficult he made getting asylum. So he closed the border by putting fear into people and not trying to come in the country, because it doesn't even matter if you're a criminal anymore. He will deport you, because the amount of people who are non-criminals that are getting deported has gone up dramatically. I think it's either close or above 50% now. So, I mean, if that's how you want to do that, feel free, Tom. That sounds like a pretty shitty thing to do, in my opinion. But hey, man, if you want to throw kids across the border so you can keep the borders, secure, cool, fine, fuck it. The other stuff about it, all that other bullshit, no, hell no. Fuck
I look at the same thing and we end up with these really different conclusions, because I'm like, we really have to balance the budget. Like we have to balance the budget. And some of that is going to be the increasing of the taxes for sure. But some of that is going to be austerity. Some of that is going to be, yeah, you're going to have to retire later. Some of that is going to be you're going to have to qualify for some of the entitlements. And I'm not gleeful about it. It just is what it is. Like the reality, money has physics. And so we are headed towards a cliff.
Okay. I guess
I'm going to end it there because I'm not going to watch the whole thing for a video. But I want to be very clear. If that was your number one concern, and Destiny told you this, you knew for a fact that Donald Trump ran a budget deficit his first term, and now that was a lot of it had to do with the fact that he was cutting taxes, and he wasn't going to increase taxes, and now he put on a bill to increase the budget the national debt and the budget deficit by like over $3 trillion. If that was your number one concern, there's no fucking way you decided to vote for Donald Trump. Because in terms of the budget and the budget deficit, Republicans are the worst ones over the last like decade-ish, right? So that just didn't make sense. He was not going to increase taxes. Entitlement, sure. But come on, bro. Like the thing you cared about the most didn't even make sense for. And then, you got to cut certain programs and stuff, and he cut programs that fucked over a lot of people. And maybe you think that was good, even though it was marginal cuts that only did like a 1% dent into the budget. I guess, right? And what was the other thing I was gonna say? Fuck. I forgot the. Oh, well, the biggest way we have to cut the budget or cut the deficit is we would have to cut Social Security, the military, and I believe Medicare. Those are like, I think over 60. I could look up all this, but I don't want to right now. You guys can look it all. I'm not lying. I'm not fooling you. It's very easy information to find. But a lot of it is those three programs, and unless you cut those, it ain't going to make any drastic difference. And at the end of the day, what you want to do with the deficit is constantly shrink spending and match it with the amount of revenue that is getting brought in. And Joe Biden ultimately did a pretty good job at that, but it was hard to do a better job with Donald Trump's tax cuts. So, Tom, your reasoning on voting for Trump sucks. With that said, that is all I got for that reaction.